We didn't do this year, my mother would want that she only close to us. My mother would want that. Where you going with all mix up for everybody.
She's been crying for 2 weeks.
Well, it's gonna be, you know, she was close to her mother.
Oh, yeah.
Take a while. Forget, yeah, I do it. There's a blessing in the end.
Oh, well, she knows that. I think.
Well, yeah, but one is cognitive, one is how you feel.
Oh, yeah.
What you know and what you feel.
Yeah.
She'll get, you know. She's good for
Hello, hey guys. These are some of the ladies that we go to dinner with from Pearl's building, and Pearl, she goes to the pool with, that was her thing. That's what she wanted to get to do. I don't know, do I have it, did I grab it? I'm Julie, and I've been in Pioneer. I'm Scott's girlfriend? Okay. She was really proud of that graduation. He really was.
It's actually really good. She got to watch it. She got to it. So.
It was a cold day.
Was it?
Because it was an outdoor.
She got to see as much as she did. She's lucky that she does. Got to see as much as she did.
Between that and the baby, she got that she really, really wanted to do. That she it's just.
It's hard, but at least the knowledge that she did get all those.
It just, I'm finding it hard because I was with her. Remember, she was up, she sat in the chair and had coffee and talked. I was there Wednesday.
Skin is not good.
It just went.
Yeah, but at least you got to talk to her.
And I was at the nursing.
Right, it was
I saw her
better.
out of
Yeah,
there.
and Bill talked to her too, and she's fairly lucid, and so did Carolyn, and I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you said the things you needed to say, she talked to you. Well, I know he feels that way. But it was really good because he really just not said things.
There's no good there.
There's ways you can cover yesterday. You're trying.
So you live in Pearlsville?
No, all these ladies live in that area. I know Pearl.
She was his old friend. Way back.
Someone Bill was.
Yeah,
I was at Kent Burns.
Yeah.
I was, you know, I don't remember being at Bill's. I don't know. I was at Bill's or not.
Excuse me, you gave me two of them.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
From the temple. Someone said, how long can I cry? I was with her somebody's 40th birthday party, and she would have been 89 in July, so at least 50 years. 60. What my God. So looking forward to the new move and the new life and everything.
It's kind of scary, but it's kind of nice. I am, yeah.
Good for you.
I'm at the Army. Yeah, so I'm doing like military medical. So I'll be like a resident at a hospital thing. So I feel like it's nice to,
Specialty that you want, that you're interested in.
yeah, OB-GYN is what I'm
really?
training in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I feel like the cross-country drive is a like rite of passage when moving up to the West Coast. It makes you
Well, I
appreciate
know.
just how far.
Are you guys out there? Going to go with Bill.
So I think that Bill is still going to come to us tomorrow.
Check out it.
Just, I mean, it's just a lot of driving and thinking.
3,100. 3,100.
But he was, I mean, you know, everything was really up in the air for a while. But I think he decided that it
And
made sense for him.
sometimes the male person will not leave the male.
It was good. We're good to be here. So you're actually going to be here today, regardless. Like an almost 40.
Where's the shade?
Over here under the tent. You could go stand under the tent, guys. You don't need to stand in the
No,
sun.
that's for the family.
No, the seats are, no, the seats are for the family. but you could-
Right, that, I said.
Oh, I said, but you could stand out of the, out of the sun.
No kidding.
Okay, I'll sign and then I'll come back.
Yes, that was when she was like the oldest top said like whatever level salesperson.
Oh,
she was
yeah,
for.
oh, yeah.
I didn't realize she worked until she was
Testing,
86.
testing.
She worked till the,
I
yeah,
guess
till her
until
pandemic.
COVID, yeah.
Yeah, till COVID, she was there. Absolutely. It's enough.
Scott's gonna do it, right, Scott? You got
So I have to be at training in San Antonio June 1. So we're gonna get there hopefully like on Friday. I think that is the 20th. And then I'll have like 6 days. And I'll fly back to Boston for a friend's wedding.
Ouch.
And then I'll go to San Antonio. It's gonna be a little bit crazy.
It's stuff for you, huh?
Yeah, it's
Wait,
definitely
you're
wedding
going to
season.
see- Yes, and then you're going to San Antonio?
Just for a month.
Oh,
Yeah, just for like 3 weeks of training. Do you have family in the military?
My granddaughter's husband is a lieutenant commander in the Navy.
Oh, that's awesome. Where's he stationed?
Well, they were and all over. They were in San Diego. Now he's in Rhode Island teaching at the big school. He's teaching.
Wow, so
Yes.
it's not about this.
No, they were
And then
thinking.
Rhode Island is like,
It's beautiful. They got a beautiful house. And, it's just different. They have kids and then some kids are used to walking out their door, going to the ocean. Now they're in, Rhode Island in the middle of winter. The others are Thanksgiving and with a blizzard. Crazy different. So it's good.
yeah, that's
It
really
happens
good.
to the military. Before we go.
The benefit of the Navy though is you typically stay coastal. Your kids will also do that. Yeah, yeah. I couldn't go to every army
She
base.
can't be in every animal, but she's only certain stations and weapons, so she kinda knows what those things are.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Like where?
So the main like teaching centers are Triplers in Hawaii, that's the farthest.
Oh.
Then Madigan in Washington. Madigan in Washington or San Antonio, they have a big medical center there. Fayetteville, North Carolina, at Fort Bragg, which is a big, I think Fort Bragg's like a big artillery unit.
Where the granddaughter is not Carolina.
I was there last summer. And then DC. Yeah, DC's the closest to like the Northeast.
So you're kind of, those are the ones who were kind of, it's nice to know those,
Well, that's what Scott's got.
I mean, my great grandson could go anywhere in the world. Because he's
How was your great grandson?
he's a lieutenant commander in the Navy. Right now, he's restationed in they were in San Diego, now he's at Rhode Island at the school there. I don't know what it is. He's teaching something I don't even understand what it is.
No more about.
Some kind of military.
Did he do ROTC in college or did he enlist
No,
in
he
that?
did not. He did not. He got married. He had a kid. He enlisted later as he got a master's. So he went in later. He not right out of school. Yeah, no, he had
So it was like a
job.
change of careers.
It was a exactly right. It was a change of career.
And she goes in as an officer.
Oh yeah, sure.
But you don't move up, right? It's like,
I go in as a captain, which the Navy and the Army, it would be the equivalent of a, I think it's a lieutenant in the Navy. Is this like the verbiage is different, but it's like the O3 or whatever.
Yeah, right, there's numbers, yeah.
So it's
He's
O3.
I don't know.
He's probably high. I mean, he's
do
probably.
you go up or scout?
Yeah, so because it's like typically after 5 years in, you become a major. So I'll be an 04, but that's after that, like I probably will not be in the military any longer to like promote to the next one. Like I don't. Yeah. Oh yeah. They go up through like 010. I mean, 07, 08. Yeah, you're like high ranking, but I don't really want to be career military. It's too much moving around. But
Yeah, it's also, it's a.
And it's also a pretty good career if you're an officer and
there's a lot of like job stability. They pay you really well, and you have friends. Like you have friends everywhere.
And you can retire. You can retire. You can retire at an early age
Kim, oh my God.
And I
Yeah.
think sometimes a lot of
We live next door to them for many years.
I'm so sorry to hear.
I'm not.
I'm okay with that. I'm so
not
sorry to
hugging
hear
or
about Mom.
touching anyone. But thank you so much for coming.
some
out.
of us
guys
in
think
for-
And then you knew about Bob, right?
You guys knew about that. Okay, when?
January 17th.
Okay, because Marcy actually, I was talking to her this morning, and I told her, she's like, how about it? I'm like,
That was a blessing.
It's always a blessing when it is
There's a lot of good.
Well, in his case, his life was terrible.
Hard.
But it also affected Pearl. Like, she would just say, you know, when she was in hospital, she'd say, this has not been a good year. And there was an son passed away. She had an accident.
grandfather,
Her
yeah.
accident was related to what eventually killed her, but she had been in and out of the hospital most of the year. So it's not, and I was hospitalized, nothing serious, but not minor either, so it's not been good. But
Get
also,
better if you
I
wanna
mean,
go.
but she also was, they do it, I'm not saying.
But yeah, it's definitely just a different.
No,
So like I've been very I'm trying to find my husband in Massachusetts. So now I get to go out west. And
So
it's
we're not supposed to call this.
connections to a different place. People don't necessarily, you know, like
Yeah, that's.
Uh-oh, Kim Feinberg. Noah Feinberg.
Could I have one more of those for my daughter? She
No
did a new
problem.
curl too.
You want a couple?
No, that's it.
Okay.
We were by the lake, and they're by the lake.
Who wants the baby?
Maybe his grandmother for a little while.
Keep him out of the sun.
Robin,
You like those buttons?
Robin, you want to keep an eye on your grandson?
Yeah, I can.
Terrible job to have to watch you, huh? I get to watch you?
Yeah.
Nancy used to put him in my room for
He looks sleepy, buddy. Yeah, he does. He looks. He falls asleep if you look.
Ladies and gentlemen, if
Oh, I
you have
mean,
the
we're
immediate
gonna
family,
keep-
please sit in the front row.
You have any keepers?
Stay in the bed. Should we stay in the bed? Yeah, us. The buttons. Don't pull those off, buddy. Mommy will not be happy with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin today's services, I kindly ask you to silence your cell phones for the duration of the service. Thank you. Officiating today's service is Rabbi Evan Moffick.
You're speaking, right?
Members of the immediate family are wearing a black ribbon. In ancient times, when hearing of the death of a loved one, people would literally tear their garments as a sign of our internal tear. And so we model that practice today by wearing and tearing a black ribbon. So if you could repeat after me the blessing, Baruch Atah Adonai
Adonai.
Dayan Emet.
Amen.
We praise you, eternal God, judge of truth. Amen. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination, and life is a journey. From childhood to maturity, and youth to age. From innocence to awareness, and ignorance to knowing. From foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom. From weakness to strength, or strength to weakness, and often back again. From health to sickness, and back we pray to health again. From offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination, and life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage to life everlasting. These words, which were penned by Rabbi Alvin Fine, really express the Jewish philosophy of life and of death. They tell us that we come here in grief, but we also come here with a measure of gratefulness. Grateful that God blessed the world with the life of Pearl Pierce. Our Jewish funeral service is fairly simple, consists of some readings, some psalms, some reflections, and concludes with the Kaddish prayer. We'll continue now with the words of the 23rd Psalm. Those of you who know it, please feel free to join me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. At the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. The rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. The opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them.
I'm sorry.
The beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember Pearl Pierce, for she is now a part of us as we remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joy we crave to share, we remember them. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them. As long as we live, Pearl too shall live, for she is now a part of us as we remember her. I'd like to invite up several members of the family who will share their memories.
First, thank you for all for coming. I am Bill, the oldest. And I just have a few thoughts that I'd like to share with you all. My mom lived a full life lasting almost 89 years. Work, friends, and family were the pillars of her life, so I'd like to take some time to talk about all three of her pillars. My mom went to school when my mom went to work when all of her kids were in school, back when most women were stay-at-home moms. My dad's cousin Joan owned a store called the Squash Blossom, selling Southwest artifacts. That began Pearl's career in retail and jewelry. From there, she went on to work at Hanmore and the Coat Factory before coming to Nordstrom in 1994 when it opened in Old Orchard. It became her home, and she was a fixture there. So many people in North Shore knew Pearl from Nordstrom's. She worked there for 26 years, still working at the age of 86. She was forced in retirement in 2020 when the lockdown closed the store. She didn't return when they reopened because we all felt that the pandemic would be especially risky to her health. Career in retail also sparked her passion for fashion and jewelry. She was always dressed to the nines, including the clothes she's being buried in, and had a closets full of clothes. My mom had way more jewelry than she could ever wear. Taking her through an airport metal detector was a very unique experience. Pearl was the most social person I ever knew. Her friends were the second pillar of her life. I think the number of people in attendance today for a woman who was almost 89 years old attests to that, along with all the calls, texts, and messages we've received upon the announcement of her death. Growing up as an only child instilled a desire in her to be surrounded by other people, and she always was. Some of my earliest memories were the parties my mom and dad hosted at our house. Family events were always extraordinarily large to accommodate her great number of friends. In her later years, the partying events were replaced by hanging out by the pool and going out to eat with friends. Max and Benny's grocery receipts were down significantly when Pearl curtailed her weekly visits due to COVID. I do want to ask any of her friends who've gone out to eat with my mom, did she ever not complain about her meal? No. But the wait staff she complained to or about still loved her because of her wit and charm. She complained every single time she was at a restaurant with the family, and the family was her third pillar. While most family relationships are bittersweet, I'm going to pause for a second during the sirens. Yeah, this would be something she'd complain about, sirens interrupting the eulogy. All right, while most family relationships are bittersweet, Pearl's were particularly bitter and delightfully sweet. Her only sister died when she was 1. Her mother passed away on her 7th birthday. Shortly after that, her father moved away and left her with her grandmother so he could find another wife. He eventually did, and Pearl moved from Omaha to be with her father and stepmother in Gary, Indiana, close to Chicago, where she met my dad. The bittersweet turned sweet as candy for a while. She and my dad had 4 children who they loved dearly. They all grew up happy and successfully until another bitter event happened. My brother Bob became mentally ill when he was 19 years old, a disease which plagued him and affected our family the rest of his life. But there continued to be sweet moments for the rest of Pearl's life. The other kids graduated college, had successful careers, including Ken becoming a doctor, got married, and had kids. My mom's 6 grandchildren became the light of her life. More light was added recently with the birth of her great-grandson, August. He's here with us today. The bitterness returned in full this year. Bob passed away in January, and her own health took a turn for the worse in March. She was in and out of the hospital until she passed away early Thursday morning, which is the last time I saw her. Prior to that, I had talked to her, seen her every day since the start of the pandemic. Now, I haven't seen or spoken with my mom for the past few days, and I never will again. I'm going to miss her, and I will always love her.
I'm Ken. I'm the third son. I was the baby of the family until Carolyn knocked me out of that place. But my brother's never. But I was always going to be precious, and I cried a lot when I was a kid. I just wrote down some thoughts about my mom. Actually, I think they'll hit pretty much all of them, so I'll just get started. My mom loved numbers. I never knew why she loved numbers so much until recently. She was born on 7/7/33, but what's funny is it's not 7/7/33, it's 7/7/1933, so it really doesn't match. But that's how my mother did. She kind of fit things into her own narrative. I just thought she was into crossword puzzles. Growing up as a kid, I can remember that. She would do that every day while drinking coffee, every morning. I never understood the appeal of the crossword puzzles, and I still don't play them to this day. But she loved them and would have books with extra crossword puzzles, and she never met a crossword puzzles that she couldn't solve. I thought she would like Wordle, and she did when I introduced her to her, but she couldn't figure out how to do it on her iPad, so she would get frustrated and call me and say it's not working, and I would talk her through it. I guess the point is my mom always had a really sharp mind, and she was just sharp as a tack. She was up on world events, politics, sports, and trivia, and she can give you opinions on all of them. My mom also loved Broadway and musicals. She loved them so much that she tried to get me to be into them. And so when I was younger, I was kind of encouraged to be in a few plays and musicals. I don't think I was very good, and I never approached theater again, but I did inherit her musical ability as I started playing guitar when I was younger. Interestingly, when I hear a song from an old musical, I immediately think of my mom. And I have no idea why, but I know the lyrics to most of them. So that's kind of strange. As Bill said, my mom loves clothes. So much so that she actually had one closet in her bedroom and 3 closets in my bedroom growing up. I actually don't think I've ever seen her wear the same thing more than once when I was a kid. And honestly, I think she worked in retail to get the discounts. I'm kidding. She loved working in retail for the customers. She loved to make people look good. She loved to make people feel good. As everyone knows my mom loved sarcasm. It was her language of love. Because of her, I thought the whole world spoke sarcastically when I was growing up. But that's not necessarily true. It is said that sarcasm is one of the highest forms of communication. A recent journal article by L. Huang et al. Is titled, quote, "The highest form of intelligence, sarcasm increases creativity through abstract thinking for both expressors and recipients." I don't think my mom read that article or had that in mind, but I think she used sarcasm to hide pain that she endured while she was growing up. It was her coping mechanism. For me, it was a way we communicated. I always understood what she was saying because I spoke that language. My mom loved being social, as Bill says. I mean, she really loved being social. My mom, and reluctantly my relatively antisocial father, would frequently go to and host many parties with myriads of friends. I never understood the love of bridge, but that was a monthly event that would bring many families together for a night of eating and playing cards. Speaking of which, my mom also loved going out to dinner. She will tell you that she cooked many meals throughout her life. This is true. I can't attest for the quality of it, but we all welcomed going out to dinner, and we went to many different restaurants and many different cuisines, including Thai food, before it was cool. My mom loved sports. I mean, she really, really loved sports. How many 88-year-olds do you know that actually have red zone? She did. She loved football. That was her jam. She would complain about the Bears all the time, except when they won the Super Bowl. And even then she complained. My mom loved to complain. I mean, she was a master. I can still recall going out to dinner with my mom, placing her finger in the middle of the food and saying, "This is ice cold." I'm not sure where she got that from, but she was never shy to offer her opinion on the quality and temperature of the food. Like Picasso with a paintbrush, she could create masterpieces of complaints, but nobody can accuse her of not knowing what she wanted. My mom loved the swimming pool. I think my mom is truly happiest when she is lounging by the pool with friends and family around her. From our trips to Florida, visiting my grandfather, her father, to purchasing a condominium in Florida, and finally hitting the jackpot by having a pool by her condo in Glenview. She would be most relaxed and happy while adjacent to the water. And I stress adjacent, as my mom could not swim at all. When she was a kid, she had a very bad experience at the beach and almost drowned. She carried that fear with her for the rest of her life. She would go in the pool, but only if her feet could touch the bottom where she was in a floating lounger. My mom loves Netflix, and HBO, and Hulu, and Amazon Prime. Sadly, she got to know them much better because of COVID and being locked up inside for so long, but she found the bright side. We would have many conversations about recommendations for new shows to watch. She told me about Shtisel, and Hacks. And I told her about Fosse Verdon, but she had already seen it, as I would have expected. I told her about Queen's Gambit, which she loved. It was very bittersweet for her because she felt it mirrored her life too much. Pearl was a really good chess player. She liked jokes. I think most of all, she loved her family. Bill, Bob, Carolyn, and me. Navigating through unfamiliar family dynamics, including my brother's long-standing mental illness, was very challenging for both my mom and my dad, and at the time there was very little outside support. But nevertheless, my mom insisted on family togetherness. Even during difficult times, her goal was to have us all together as much as possible. Unfortunately, Bob passed away early this year, and maybe took a little bit of her spirit away from her. But she still continued to live and love. As she got older, her focus shifted to the next generation. She has 6 grandchildren, and she has 1 great-grandchild. Those things truly brought her happiness. Any picture I would send to my daughters, Samara and Eliana, would be immediately gobbled up by her. Although I wish they had more time, I'm thankful for that my daughters got to be with her and have lasting memories to carry with them through their lives. I only wish we had more time with her. But she'll always be with us. If we solve a crossword puzzle, we'll think of her. If we hear a Broadway tune, we'll think of her. If we feel like we're dressed to the nines, we will think of her. If we say how much we love the traffic during rush hour, we'll think of her. If we're at a party, we'll think of her. If we get a suboptimal meal at a restaurant or suboptimal service, we'll think of her. If we are by the beach or at the pool, we'll think of her. If we are watching a great series or moving, we'll think of her. And most importantly, if we are enjoying time with our own family, we will think of her.
So I'm Pearl's baby, the youngest. And I did have 3 brothers, and now I have 2. And before. This has been probably the hardest time I've had to go through. And just gonna do my best to try to read this. And mine is short and sweet. So my mom and I were like oil and water. However, she meant the world to me. Over the last few years, I made a point to spend as much time as I could with her. We always met for lunch and went out shopping afterwards. I made it a point to get together with her at least twice a month since I lived about an hour away. However, I did call her every day to see if she was okay or if she needed anything. But as you probably all know, my mom is just one of a kind person. She's always dressed tastefully and always wear lots of jewelry. If fact, so much my kid had made a card even saying how much my mom wore jewelry, and that's how she was known. She was truly a social butterfly. She loved to go to the pool and going out with her friends. That never ended. I just won't forget how blessed I was to have her in my life, and I will always love her. And I just miss her so much. Thank you.
Well, unlike Carolyn, I should introduce myself. My name is Linda Fox, and I actually usually don't have a problem talking. I represent the women from the Nordy Girls to my right, so that's really what I'm going to talk about today. Pearl's managers, the lunch ladies that she ate with, and friends, both retired and not, are here today. So I met Pearl 15 years ago when I entered the jewelry department, and I was greeted by her comment of, "We don't want you here." And I quickly responded and I said, "You don't want me here? What does that mean?" And she said, "You'll learn. This is my domain, jewelry, okay?" So I did quickly learn, and that was fine, because once we got past that initial greeting, we really became the best of friends. She affectionately called me her WD, which stood for her work daughter. And she referred to herself as a WM, which was, she was my work mother. We shared a common bond for so many reasons, and that was because of our own loss of mothers very early in life, and a love of family, a love of Judaism, and a love for the retail world. So Pearl taught me a lot. She taught me how to sell jewelry. She introduced me to customers that would come up when she wasn't there and say, "Where's the lady that has all the rings on her fingers and all the bracelets? Where is she?" And I said, "Or what is her name?" And I'd say, "That's Pearl. She's just not at work today." So I take a lot of pride in being able to learn what I did from her. Most importantly, learning the meaning of living life, loving family, working hard, and health. These are what I would later come to call my Pearl-isms. Talk about that a little more in a minute. As moms and daughters, which you know this, Carolyn, we had our laughs, we had our cries, but we loved each other. Pearl gave me a lot of hope and inspiration. After 2 years, after COVID, after she realized that she would no longer be able to come back to Nordstrom's, and she not easily decided to, quote, retire, her friends that are here today decided to give her a retirement party. I truly believe that was like a stellar moment in Pearl's life, because driving her there, she's like, "I can't believe you guys are doing this." She actually didn't complain about the food that night, according to what I remember. I might not have heard her right. You're correct, though. I may not have heard it. But on the way home, she said, "You know, Linda," she said, "this was truly my affirmation after 23 years of working at Nordstrom's, what it meant to be a part of a larger whole, not just selling, not just customers, but the people that she affectionately called her managers, her lunch buddies, and myself." Shortly after Pearl's fall, which was several months ago, I realized that things were trending downward. So I asked myself, how am I going to handle this decline? Then I had an epiphany. My love of journaling would lead me to making a journal that I very affectionately call my Pearl-isms. Something I said I would talk more about. All in all, it contains one-liners, all the strong but never forgotten comments I would have and put in this journal. I'm fortunate that Pearl and I spoke even as recent as Mother's Day. Her call to me included her words, "I'm not going home if I can't go out." And I responded by saying, "It's okay, Pearl, it's okay." "No, it isn't," and she quickly hung up the phone. I said to her, one step at a time. We'll get through this together. So I'd like to end by saying that Pearl touched my life forever. She left a legacy to all of those who she touched, who she loved, through the retail world, through her family, and through all of her friends that are here to celebrate her life today. Finally, some words of wisdom from Helen Keller. What was once enjoyed and deeply loved, we can never lose. For all that we love deeply becomes a part of us. May God bless Pearl's soul. I loved her dearly.
Hi everyone, I'm Scott. I'm Pearl's grandson. Graham's to me, not Bill's son. Graham's Pearly, mom Pearl. She was a woman known by many different names and by even more different hair colors. And we're all gathered here today because we know how much we loved her. Graham set an incredible example for her grandchildren and anyone who knew her on how to live life. Even in her later years, she was always filled with joy and such vitality. She could light up any room she walked into and could talk for hours, highlighting her amazing personality. This is all probably why at 88 years old, she had more friends than most of us, and why I had to schedule dinners with her weeks in advance to fit into her busy social calendar. She also exemplified hard work and resilience, working at Nordstrom's on her feet all day until the age of 86. For many years, holding the title of oldest employee in the country to achieve sales high enough to earn her the title trendsetter, which we all knew she absolutely was. When any one of my friends growing up or in adulthood had met her, they always commented on her incredible fashion, and we're all still astounded that her wrist and hand strength were enough to carry around pounds and pounds of jewelry all the time. Graham's also exemplified everything you could want in a grandparent. She was caring and attentive, never missing a graduation, wedding, or other family event. And even showing up at least an hour or two early every single time. She was loving, giving, and generous, mostly to my sister, with the trendiest in fashion jewelry and accessories. And like any good Jewish grandmother, she made sure her grandchildren were well fed. Whether it was Max and Benny's, Maggiano's, Wildfire, or her world-famous Horositz in Kugel, if you were eating with Grams, you were eating good. Grams. Michelle, David, Rudy, Samara, Eliana, and I were so incredibly lucky to have such an amazing grandma in our lives for so many years. And in honor of the thing that brought you the most joy and the most pain in your life, I'll end this with one phrase. Bear down.
Hi everyone, I'm Ruti. I was the youngest until Samara and Eliana, so I was very used to being a baby, but not anymore. Everyone said everything that I was going to say, and I don't know, this is a weird time. I think one of the reasons why this didn't feel expected, everyone would tell me when I told them what happened, they were like, well, you got eight, she was 88. She lived a very long life. No one really gets to see their grandparents live until their 20s. But the thing is, she never showed her age. I literally sometimes forgot she was in her 80s. She dressed, even when I went to visit her in the hospital, she had all her rings on. She had her MAC lip liner on. She had her eyeliner. She was checking her little compact mirror even when the nurses were taking her vitals. It was just, she was eternal. And I think that's why this is so hard. And I was very lucky to be able to take care of her towards the end, and I cleaned up her apartment, and I got to spend those really valuable times with her. And one of the last things I got to talk to her about was just me, and the fact that I didn't speak to her for 3 years. Sorry. I regret that so much. But I was able to make up for it in the last year and a half that I had with her. And one of the final things she said to me was how proud she was of me. How proud she was of me, and how, just proud she was of mine and my other cousins' accomplishments. She would not stop talking about how she had 2 grandchildren who were doctors, and how smart and beautiful and intelligent we all were. And to be honest, we were so lucky to have her in her lives, and I don't know, I think she made us all the more glamorous with her makeup and her jewelry and all of her adornments. So thank you.
Such powerful memories and words. In Jewish tradition, we remember a loved one who has recently passed away with the words, Zichrona Livracha. May her memory be a blessing. These words convey the purpose of a well-lived life. That those who know you, those who come after you, those who remember you, look to your life as a blessing, a benediction, and an inspiration. Being a blessing means that you have touched the lives of those you knew, and that you have helped them to do the same for others. For her friends, for her work family, for all those who knew and loved her, and especially for Bill and the late Bob, and Robin and Ken and Nora and Carolyn and Jeff, and David and Michelle and Scott and Ruti and Samara and Eliana and August, and all those who loved and cared about her and for whom she cared. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. May the memory of Pearl Pierce endure among us as an everlasting blessing. God, you give us loved ones, and you make them the strength of our life and the light of our eyes. They depart and leave us bereft on a lonely way, but you are the living fountain from which our healing flows. To you, the stricken look for comfort and the sorrow-laden for consolation. God, we see life is through windows that open on eternity. We see that love endures and the soul endures, as you, O God, endure forever. We see that the years are more than grass that withers, more than flowers that fade. They weave a timeless pattern in a world that is a dwelling place of your love and your glory. I'd ask you now, if you're comfortably able, to please rise as we say the El Malei Rachamim prayer. El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Barmomim, Hamsei Minucha Nechona Tachan Shechina, Im Kiddoshim V'Tehorim K'Zohar Hakim Asirim, Et Nishmat Pearl Pierce, Shechacha La'olama. Baha Rachamim Yastirehu Beseter Kanafav Olamim. Vayitur Vitur Chaim et Nishmata. Adonai Hu Nachalata Batanuach Bashalom Amishkavo Benomar. Amen. Compassionate God, eternal spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our beloved mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, loved one, friend, Pearl Pierce, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and may her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. For you, the eternal God, are her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us all say, Amen. May be seated as we wait a few moments while the casket is lowered.
December.
It's an ancient Jewish custom to shovel earth into the grave of a loved one. It's considered among the most sacred acts we can do because, unlike many things we do in life, because we get something out of it, when we shovel earth, it's an act that we do purely out of love. So we'll begin with immediate family members who'd like to shovel earth, and then everyone is welcome to do so, and that will conclude our service.
As you come forward to participate in this mitzvah, please be mindful of your footing around the grave. After you have participated, please return to where you were standing. Thank you.
I remember Kiku, and I have a dog named Biscuit, and I remember Kiku, and that's really weird. Okay, this is my husband's shop. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. Oh, okay, because they're old. We're old. I have my mom's Facebook, and I want to get in touch with you guys. Nobody. Yes, I had her.
Right before the cemetery fills it, I invite you to join me in the mourner's prayer of the cottage.
Amen. Right all over.
May God, the source of peace, send peace to all of us who mourn